Hello guys, welcome back. Today I have finally finished a long project of mine. It's the biggest ship I've ever built. Now it's maybe not the biggest ship you've ever seen, of course not. I typically build quite small, but it's the biggest ship for me and it took me a really long time to finish this. It's finally finished now. And I do have all these in progress stages, the whole like ship evolution or whatever I call it. This is not this video, I'm going to show that next video. I don't have it quite finished yet, but I have a lot to show anyways. And for a start, I just want to show the ship a bit from the outside. So yeah, this is it. It's quite big. It's, I think, 9,000 something blocks. Let me just check real quick. Okay, not quite. 8,975 blocks and 57,000 PCU. So yeah, it's sadly, I wanted it to be 10,000 blocks, didn't make it, but whatever. It's still quite big. This is basically just like a battleship, I guess. So it has a lot of turrets, of course. That was really a challenge because I've put these armor panels everywhere and I really like them. I think they're really cool. They are such a pain in the ass to work with. You just can't put anything on them. It always looks bad. There's no space anywhere. So in order to place these turrets at all, I had to put these panels quite high and just kind of carve out some gaps here and there. It was really a challenge. But in the end, I did manage to put something like 70 turrets or so on this ship. And yeah, it is quite potent. I'm going to test it out in a bit and see how well it does. It doesn't really have a lot of features, like it doesn't have any subgrids or any custom turrets or missiles or anything like that. It's really just pure heavy armor, decoys, turrets, that's it. Not even any projectors or welders or anything like that. Right, let's look at just some stuff at a bit more detail, I guess. There's a bridge up here. It's just some random greeble behind it. Yeah, it's obviously extremely exposed. You can fly it from here, but there is a more, better protected CIC further down in the ship. I'm going to show the interior later on. There's a hangar here. It's not very big, just enough to fit like a few fighters in there perhaps. It's not really a carrier or anything. But I think it's always nice to have a small hangar to put some shells in there or something like that. A lot of thrusters, especially on the downside, as you can see. It is actually powerful enough to fly on planets, just barely, but that's good enough for me, as long as it doesn't crash. Yeah, it has like 1.05 Gs or something, so really just barely, but it does hover, and that's good enough for me. Good enough for such a big battleship. On the front, I did put a few railguns, just because they're cool. They're not really that powerful and they get blown up really fast, but I mean, why not? It's fun to play around with them. In the end, this is mostly just, you let it sit somewhere and let the turrets do all the work, really. Alright, before we go on, I just want to talk a bit about the history of the ship, because I didn't just build it out of nowhere. There was a bit before it, a bit of inspiration, and all the way, it goes all the way back to 2015 actually, to a ship that I haven't built. This is built by JD Hawks. It's the Atlas frigate, and he came up with this idea to, I think he did, maybe there were other ships before it, I don't know. This is very long ago, but as far as I know, he came up with the idea to put these armor plates around the ship, and he actually connected them with merge blocks. I really like that, and like a year or two later, I think in 2016, I built this ship, and all the way until now, that always was the biggest ship I've ever built actually. And yeah, it really made use of this technique to use armor panels, put them all around the ship. And you can really see the inspiration in the cockpit as well, right? Like, I wasn't that good at building cockpits back then, so I more or less just copied it, I guess. Yeah, and now a few months ago when I started building, I wanted to build a new biggest ship ever. And I was looking back at all my old ships and I saw this one and I thought it kind of has some potential. I do like these armor panels, but it lacks something. So I just started playing around with it a bit and I put some wings on it and I really liked that. I really wanted to build an actual ship around this. So this was essentially the basis. And I just took the cross section, the silhouette of this ship, and then started building a new ship onto that, which eventually became this one. But the whole evolution to get from here to there, and this is really a completely new ship. I didn't like alter this, I rebuilt it from scratch. And yeah, the whole progression, that's gonna be the next video. I'm already working on that, but it's not quite finished. Now, after I finished this ship, I had some more ideas, and this is something I can really recommend to everyone, which is to just basically take the ship, cut it in half, completely just cut it apart, put it back together in a different way, just making it wider, making it narrower, shorter, longer, whatever. And I tried two things here. The first one was to just basically cut it off at the front, make it really wide, and then put an opening in here. And this could be like a carrier, right? I think it should be a lot bigger still. But I kind of like this design. It's pretty similar, but still a bit different. And then another one, which is not quite as wide and yeah, with a bit more like a hammerhead front. So it's more or less just the same ship, but slightly reshaped, I guess. And it's already a bit different, and this would be a good starting point to build a new ship, I guess. So if you ever need some inspiration, I can highly recommend just taking some old ships of yours or someone else's ships and just start reshaping them. Just play around with them a bit, make them a bit wider or shorter or whatever, and you can quite quickly, like this only takes a few minutes really, you can quite quickly build almost entirely new ships that already look more or less finished. Of course, if I go in here, I just copy paste this over, right? So this is anything but a finished ship, but it looks like one from afar, so you can very quickly see if it could turn into something great, right? Okay, one more thing before we go to the interior, and that's the conveyoring system. If you ever wonder like how I do this, how I get the conveyors out of there, it's all manual work. I just literally just remove all other blocks. There's no trick to it. Just remove them all. It takes like 10 minutes, but the results are kind of nice. I like doing it. It's almost therapeutic. This is not quite the final one. I think this was before the new update with the new conveyors. So it still has all these old ones. I did switch out most of them, I think. Not all of them. But yeah, the general structure is the same. It's just a lot of thrusters, of course, a lot of redundant conveyor lines, turrets everywhere, and most of the tanks are here in the back, of course. Just a few at the front for redundancy. And I think actually just a single cargo container, which is this one, and it's the magazine for all the ammo. It probably doesn't make that much sense, and it would be better to just have a lot of small cargo containers scattered across the ship. It's a bit for show, I guess. Like if you blow it up, there's gonna be a big explosion. It's not like the best idea, I guess, but it's cool, I think. So yeah, that's why I did it. All right, and now I'll take you around the interior. Now for the interior, I've parked the ship here on my city planet, Terralis. And yeah, let's just go inside and see what's in there. So the entrance is just straight up below the ship. I just can't think of anything else than just putting stairs everywhere, but it works, so whatever. I've color coded the entire ship. There's 3 levels here and just a single staircase. And I've just made the first level all blue, second's red, and the third, you can see it up there, is green. Yeah, I think that's pretty neat. It's really easy to get around this ship. Basically can't get lost at all. And here on the first level, first of all, there's just some medical stuff, and in the back, the reactor behind an airlock with a little GLaDOS or something like that in here. I don't know, it's kind of funny. It doesn't really serve any purpose, but I like it. Just some reactors, and then here at the back, yeah, tons of tanks and thrusters and all that stuff. Now if we go to the front, you get to all the crew area, just a bunch of bunk beds. And then in front of that, the magazine, which is where you can put all of your ammo, and it's pretty much like in the center of the ship, pretty hard to reach, but if it gets blown up, yeah, it's definitely gonna blow up everything around it, which is why there's not really a lot around it. And then the very front, just a bunch of decoys. There are way more than this, but they're just hidden all over the place, just between a ton of heavy armor blocks everywhere. These are just the ones you can see, because I think it looks nice. Alright, next level, which is where the CIC is. It's between two like heavy armor plates, one on the bottom, one on the top, so it's really hard to destroy. And yeah, I would say this is pretty much the safest place in the entire ship, which is why I put it here. At the front, just a bit of like a locker or something like that, locker room. And then in front of that, the hangar with like a single hangar door at the top. And not a single button to open it, so I guess I have to put that in as well. Yeah, might have forgot about that. Alright, third level. Some slightly nicer rooms for like officers or guests or whatever, I don't know. And then in front of it, little dining room for the officers or whatever, I don't know. With a nice overview of the hangar. And yeah, this is the bridge at the very top, of course. Little helm. It's obviously extremely exposed, which is why there's a second CIC. But you could fly the ship from here. The ship does fly on planets. It's not very good at it, but you know, as long as it doesn't crash, it's good enough for me. Speaking of crashing, yeah. Alright, now let's try it out in battle. I have placed a few enemies here. It's just all of a bunch of my older ships. Quite a lot. I don't know if it's gonna win against that. We'll see.